Hi there. I and my buddy Joe English are sending our regards, and today we'd like to do some ACT English section test questions together. So without further ado, let's share the PowerPoint. All right, so the passage that we have for today is entitled Slowly Spanning the Straits. And let's look at the first question. It's talking about the straits let's just read it. The straits of Mackinac, located between Lake Huron and Lake Michigan, divide Michigan's upper and lower peninsulas. Native Americans in the former wilderness territory know how to battle between several islands. So, should we keep it as it is? No, no change. Or new, B, or have known or knows. The key is to know that if we're talking Native Americans, so he's talking about something in the past, right? So since he's talking about something in the past and how they used to know how to battle, right? So we say knew how to battle between several islands because he's not talking about the present time. How do we know? What is the marker here? There's no clear marker like saying 100 years ago or 500 years ago or whatever. But when we say Native Americans, meaning people who used to live in this area in the past. So we should say knew how to battle, right? So knew, so B is the best answer for 31. Moving on to 32, then he says settlers in the 18th and 19th century. This also confirms what we thought in the second or in the previous question. There were Native Americans and then came settlers. So he's talking about things in the past. So he's saying here, settlers in the 18th, and 19th, centuries. We should not say this. We should not put commas here after 18th or 19th. We just say settlers in the 18th and 19th centuries, blah, 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 and we continue. So the best answer is H. For 32 is H. Just and between 18th and 19th, right? And we do not use commas there. There's no need for commas. And moving on to 33, all right? However, ferries soon proved to be costly in both lives and money. So he's talking about the past and how ferries used to cross the straits and so on. So we should say proved, B. Ferries soon proved to be, right? So B is the best answer. If we move on to question 34, let's read it. By the 1880s, the Michigan legislature had begun discussing the idea of building a bridge, right? There's nothing wrong with that. So F, no change, is the best answer. When we start the sentence with a prepositional phrase like by 1880, 1880 or 1880s, we should put comma, right? Okay, so no change is the best answer for 34. So F. 35, if we read it, okay. Yeah, all right. Begun discussing the idea of building a bridge to span the strait, noting the success of the newly built Brooklyn Bridge. Now in the question 35, we have a prompt. Before we attempt any answer, we should read the prompt carefully. So he says in the prompt, the writer is considering deleting the underlined portion from the sentence. If the writer were to delete this phrase, the essay would primarily lose what? A minor detail in the essay's opening paragraph? No. B, an explanation of the impetus for discussing of a potential bridge? Yes. He is explaining what made them or motivated them to do that. What is the impetus, right? Because the other bridge was a success, so they wanted to build that bridge. So B is the best answer here. Of course, we should read quickly the other options as well, like the writer's opinion about historical significance. No. An indication of Michigan's desire to keep pace with transportation. No, this is not the point. So the best answer for 35 is B. All right, let's move on to 36. Let's read it. However, no action was ever taken on the project. As a sentence sounds correct. We should need any change. We shouldn't need any change. So F, no change, is the best answer for 36. All right. Moving on to 37. Yeah, let's read the sentence from the beginning. In the 1920s, an assembly ordered resumption of ferry service between the peninsula, semicolon. So within 5 years, Governor blah, blah, blah felt their great cost warranted investigation of the bridge idea once again. Yeah. So that doesn't follow. Like the governor ordered some investigations because the because of the big cost. It doesn't follow from the first sentence that says an assembly ordered resumption of ferry services between peninsulas. So it doesn't follow from the first sentence. So we should say, but within 5 years, Governor, this warranted investigation of the bridge idea once again. Okay? Yes. Because of the cost of the ferry. Because of the cost of the ferry. So the first part of the sentence and the second part doesn't follow from the first part. So we should not say so. We should say but. So they continued using the ferry, but or however, the governors said or in a warranted investigation into building the bridge because the bridge looked way less in cost than using the ferry. So the best answer is C, 37. How about 38? Okay. Yeah. Governor Fred felt their great cost. Their great cost? No, he's talking about the bridge, one bridge. So it should say its great cost. Yes, felt its great cost. But he is not referring to the, sorry, he's not referring to the bridge. He's referring back to the ferry service. Yes, the ferry service, right? Because he says from the beginning, resumption of the ferry service, blah, 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 but Governor Fred warranted investigation of the bridge once again. Warranted, yeah, Governor Fred felt its great cost. So it's here refers back to the ferry service, not the bridge, because the ferry service was expensive. So its cost, its refers back to the ferry. Because of that, he warranted or ordered investigation into building the bridge one more time because it is way less than the ferry. So the best answer for 38 is J. It's here, the possessive it's refers back to the ferry. Okay, let's move on to 39. Okay, let's read it from the beginning. Any progress, however, that was put on hold for the duration of World War II. So we should just say, however, any progress, however, was put on hold. There's no need to use that here, right? Any progress, however, comma, was put on hold for the period of World War II. All right, great. So the best answer for 39 is D. Let's move on to 40. right? Here, after this sentence, let's read it. It would become a crowning achievement for design engineer David Steinman, and for years would be the longest suspension bridge in the world, right? The longest suspension bridge in the world. This question has a prompt, and as I said, we should read the prompt carefully. If the writer were to delete the preceding sentence, the paragraph would primarily lose what? An explanation of how the Mackinac Bridge was erected, all right, or details about the significance of the Mackinac Bridge, or background information on the history of building bridges? No. Or biographical information about David? No. So it should be between F and G. The best answer is G, is telling us not an explanation of how the bridge was erected, but on the significance, because it is the longest suspension bridge. He didn't tell us details how it was erected, how it was built, but it gives us an idea of the significance of that bridge, because it is the longest bridge, suspension bridge in the world. So G is the best answer. How about 41? Reading 41, on November 1st, 1957, the Mackinac Bridge, in spite of decades of problems, open to traffic. All right. This is just okay. How about if we say on November 1st, 1959, the Mackinac Bridge opened in spite of decades of problems, to traffic? No. B. A, no change, also no, wrong. C, the Mackinac Bridge opened to traffic in spite of decades of problems on November 1st? No. D, in spite of decades of problems, the Mackinac Bridge opened to traffic on November 1st, 1957. Yeah, so D. The idea is that the idea is the same in all four sentences, but this sentence is the best way and the clearest way to express this idea, right? In spite of decades of problems, the Mackinac Bridge opened to traffic on November 1st, 1957. So this is the best answer here. Okay, because of word order and other consideration, this is the clearest one. When you choose an answer, make sure that it is the clearest, and sometimes the shortest, right, is the best answer as well. How about 42? Today, the Mackinac Bridge is as solid as ever. Okay, there's no change. There's no need for any change. So 42F is the best answer. How about 43? If we read 43, yeah, it will continue to serve drivers and highway travelers well into the future. Okay. So why should we say drivers and highway travelers? Highway travelers would include drivers as well. So we should go for D. As we said, sometimes the shortest is the better. And also the meaning encompasses both travelers and drivers. So D is the best answer. Remember, I told you that sometimes the shortest answer is the better on the ACT or SAT if it is correct. So in this example, it is correct and the best choice. So 43D. How about 44? Okay, let's read it. Well into the future and stand as a monument to Michigan's perseverance, right? To Michigan's perseverance. Let's read the prompt. Which of the following alternatives to the underlined portion would be least acceptable in terms of the context of the sentence? mark the union of Michigan's two peninsulas, or serve as a symbol of suspension bridge around the world, provide an image of strength and grace to all who cross it, or pay tribute to the progress of a great state. So G is the best answer here. That is the least acceptable in terms of context. When we say serve as a symbol of suspension bridges around the world, this would be the least acceptable one. Okay, how about if we move to 45, asks about the preceding passage as a whole. Yeah, suppose that the writer had intended to write a brief essay that describes the entire process of designing and building the Mackinac Bridge. Would this essay successfully fulfill the writer's goal? Of course, no. He didn't tell us details about how to design or build the bridge. No, because it focuses primarily on the difficulty and delay in seeing construction of a bridge across the strait come to fruition in the end. In the end, it was successful and it was built. This is the best answer. D, no, because it's primarily a historical essay, no. About the motivation behind the bridge project, no. C is the best choice here. For 45, C is the best choice. So before you answer, read carefully. If you have a question that requires more time, like refers back to the whole passage or asks you about, arranging things for better coherence in one paragraph or something similar, try to leave such questions to the end. If you have time, answer them. If not, try to use the process of elimination. Eliminate the irrelevant or wrong answers, and then you will be left with a couple of choices. You have to make a choice between them. Remember, don't leave any question unanswered, because you might just guess the right answer and you don't lose the mark for that question. Okay, thank you for following, and I will see you in the next one.